absurdism that came out of like the 60s and 70s, and like, you know, just like we need to just keep them interested. Like half of them are on acid. Andy Warhol's over there. Like, you know, like
cool.
How do we keep this going? And then this has nothing to do with anything we're talking about, but it's a super fun fact. Joe, who owned Joe's Pub, committed Harry Carey on the stage. He stabbed himself with like a sword and died.
He died?
Yeah,
wow.
Oh yeah, he died like 3 days later.
Wow.
So performance suicide?
Huh?
Was it like a performance suicide?
No one was there. He was just a alcoholic drug addict who decided to stab himself on the stage.
I'm gonna look into that.
Yeah, that could be a good story.
It's called, it wasn't Joe's Pub. Joe's Pub is what's under a different theater. It's Cafe Chino. Cafe Chino. That's what you need to look at.
Sorry. No worries. No.
But
so,
site-specific stuff started kind of there.
That's cool.
Sorry.
Cool. I think that we've had a lot of really great conversation about this. Is there anything that you guys would suggest, or like, do you have any knowledge that you'd like to share with people that want to do this site-specific writing? Do you any thoughts on that at all? Like, if they're regular writers, if they're just like writing for regular spaces or a stage, and they're like, I want to try this site-specific thing. Like, what suggestion would you have for them?
To use the space organically. Don't try to add in kind of extra theatrical elements that you wouldn't see in that space. So if you need a light, get a lamp and turn on the freaking light. Like, have your actors turn on the light, and because we're buying into the space, we're buying into the play as audience. So, or use the space as organically as you can, in my opinion.
That's a great suggestion.
I would say think outside the space and see how you can utilize the space in the way that you need it to be used, and don't let the space hinder you. Like, again, like when you're talking about how sometimes when people give you a box to write in, you get more creative than you do when someone's just like, go! And you're like, I don't know. But like when they give you limits, when they give you suggestions, when they give you this, utilize that space as an inspiration. And don't let it hold you back, though. Like, go forth.
Push on those limits.
Yeah, push on those limits. And if you have an idea that goes beyond the space that you're given, we're all theater people and we're all creative and we'll figure it the fuck out.
I'm not sure I have any advice or knowledge. Just like in my experience, I think jumping off of these things, absolutely. Like we've always arrived at the best solutions when we are taking our space as a starting point, as like the thing that is going to help us find what it wants to be, as opposed to the thing to fight against.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's great. So I guess the first thing that I think of once the play is developed and we're in rehearsals, and I'm thinking as a producer, and I'm thinking, okay, like what is literally the first thing that the audience is going to experience when they come and join us? Do you guys think about that at all, as far as incorporating like box office with the experience, the first kind of experience that they have walking in? Or do you think about like even them walking up to the building? Do you ever think about that? Is that something that comes into your head as the writers, or is that kind of like, that's the producer's show?
Well, in Punk Punk, which Nothing Without a Company produced last year around this time, it was birthed out of a 24-hour in a garage. and we had to, when we did the actual show, we moved garages, so we had to do a lot of rewriting for that space. But to legally sell tickets, we couldn't just sell a ticket out of a garage, so we went to Fat Cat Bar, and we set up a little box office, and it felt like you were kind of going there to see a little punk show, and the main actor, one of the three main actors, was sitting at the bar in character, talking to these audience members in character, and allowed for a lot of improv for that actor to play with. And then we followed that actor down 2 alleyways, turned a corner, down another alleyway into this garage in Uptown. And so it was very much written in for the space and for what we needed to do logistically, and still allowing the audience to really get to know what they were walking into by physically walking there, by interacting with that character. So sometimes it's a necessity to do that, and other times it's not. Other times they can just walk on in to a place.
Yeah, but I know that wasn't, the interaction with that character wasn't in your script, so did that...
It is.
It is?
It is in the script.
Oh.
That if they have to start at a different location to then improv, here are some improv points.
Okay, great.
Sandra and Erin, say hello.
Hi, thank you for joining us, guys. We're talking about site-specific playwriting. Alejandro, did you have something?
I think that's brilliant. Yeah, I mean, I think it absolutely comes down to the audience contract. And there are things that we understand as far as traditional theater goes, that we just know X, Y, and Z is going to happen, that we take for granted. And if you are changing any of those things, you just have to let people know. And I think that when people have bad experiences with something site-specific or immersive or something like that, oftentimes it comes to, well, they weren't actually set up to experience. They went in thinking it was going to be one thing and it was another thing. And so I think, yeah, that experience, even before you walking up, like even if they're buying tickets online, like what information are they getting? If they're, whatever communication they're having with you, how are you setting them up and preparing them to have the best experience possible? And sometimes you don't have to do anything. Sometimes it's as simple as saying like, hey, this is what's gonna happen, ba, 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 ba. The most exciting for me is when you can build that into the narrative, like I think you guys found, which sounds really, really great, is like how can that also be a part of something that they're going to actually experience there.
What kind of things have you said can you elaborate more?
Sure. Like, I mean, sometimes it's as simple as, it goes back to that expanding your awareness kind of thing. So like, that they need to have walking shoes, that they have a place to put their bags or know not to bring bags. Like sometimes it's simple things like that. Other times it's about controlling how much you're giving them as far as like what they are and are not allowed to do, if that exists. So like a lot of the feedback we got from Dog Night was people were like, well, I wasn't sure if I was allowed to talk with people or not. But we asked people questions and we talked to them and they responded to us. And we had to make a choice when we were getting that feedback and previews of like, oh, well, do we tell people or do we find a way to like make sure that them talking to us is something that's allowed early on? Or do we actually want to hold on to that ambiguity for the sake of keeping people a little off balance, and also not opening the floodgates?
Yeah.
If that makes sense too,
yeah.
as far as like people just sort of like opening up in a certain way that we're not looking for, if that makes sense. So in the end, we decided to give more subtle cues. Everyone had masks, and it went from our actors also starting in the audience at the beginning, and so it was just a simple thing of like, none of our actors put on their masks until a certain point in the show. And we found that when we did that, some audience members got a mask and they're like, great, I have a mask now, shoot, that makes me feel good, that protects me and that keeps me safe. And some people were like, they're not wearing their masks, so just hold on to mine and keep talking. that was all that was necessary. And then built into the story, the moment when people put on the masks and why was something that we had to write out. Was actually played into the mythology, and it shifted our mythology of like, why are you wearing these masks? How is it protecting you from the curse or not?
Well, and that kind of goes back. So, like, you were talking about at first, like, the box office kind of thing of, like, hey, you should know to wear walking shoes, right? But it goes back to allowing the audience to have that conventional safety that they have in theater, but saying, hey, this is safe in our space. Like, this is how you are safe. And with the masks, like, that's a good way to show them, if you put it on, you don't need to talk. Like, you are safe with that thing on. And so it's how do you build in that safety that your audience is looking for, but still allow it to be exploratory.
Yeah, and how do you guys feel about plants in the audience?
Oh, I love plants in the audience.
Yeah.
Because if no one else is talking, they'll push the thing forward. That's the bell that you were talking about. In the...
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like hit or miss with plants. Like it totally, it can either throw me entirely off if it's a bad plant.
Yeah.
Or like as an audience member?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As an audience member, like I'll just be like, oh come on, man. Like
that was
you
a
know,
little too obvious.
Yes. But if it's a good one, even if it's a good one, you know, when you work in this industry, you're like, is that a plant? Is it not a plant? Is it not a plant? So if you can get me to the point where is it a plant? Is it not a plant? Then you've done your job.
Yeah.
But you've got to have a good plant. Like you almost like you have to have the best actor in the show be the plant.
And like no one in the company too.
Yeah, no one.
Yeah.
This has got to be like a crazy person no one's ever seen, who just has wild eyes and like, you know, like has got to be like on point with it. Because if it's just we've all been in shows where the plant's like, oh, that's Jessica.
Right.
And you're like, oh, fuck.
And sometimes that's what you have to do is actually write the plant into the show as them, because then it's believable to the rest of your audience.
So
like,
meta.
oh, that's Jessica. I looked her up on Facebook. Like, that's totally her. But she's being called Jessica.
See, and I would
Right?
totally disagree. Even if we all know fucking Jessica, and you wrote Jessica into your script, we all know you wrote Jessica into your script.
So-
like, we all get it.
So I think it depends on what you're assuming you're getting from that. So I feel like right now we have the assumption that it's going to be completely hidden, or like the fact that they are not a part of the production is what makes that a thing. I feel like there's also a wink and a nod that can be had as far as strategically placing someone within the audience who you're not trying to mask is part of your production, but is providing something. There's a symbolic power to I am with the audience. I'm a part of you. I'm coming in with the same knowledge that you are, even if they are still playing a character in the audience. There's nothing hidden about that. Like the audience knows that they rehearsed. The audience knows that they were a part of this, but the fact that they are coming in with you allows them to be an audience surrogate in a way that is different.
Well, it's like if you look at the director in Noise is Off, who always sits in the audience and is basically an audience surrogate. Like I totally understand like that realm of what. But I mean, if you have a plan in the audience where you're trying to be like the audience is up in arms, or you're trying to do something that totally disengages the relationship that you've built with your audience.
Well, I think I'm talking more about, okay, so I'm keep using Dog Night as a touchstone.